Hello guys, Reballer Axel here. Today I'm just gonna talk by myself because my friend Steve is not around. He's got some stuff to do. So I figured why not just do a solo episode today. So as you can see from the guys watching on YouTube, I've got a little headphone repairs. And it's pretty strange, you know, kind of weird in a way. And although I didn't capture anything, because the video, while I was recording it, in halfway I just sort of gave up because I didn't believe that it can work or it can be fixed. Now this isn't, of course, my first time fixing headphones, but this is a weird headphone. This is the different headphone. Now, I've been fixing microphones and big old type headphones where the connection and the wires are a lot bigger and a lot more easier to solder. But this lately, what I've been seeing is I'm really, I'm not an expert on headphones and earphones, and it's not my main thing. I fix laptops and computers and iPads. So headphones is something different. And this was brought to me, and I was told that it used to work, but it started cutting out. So you'll be speaking like that, like hello, hi, what, something like that. And I said, okay, well, I'll try and do my best, and I can't promise anything. I'll just see if I could, it's destined for the bin anyway. And but these are quite valuable headphones. As you can see, now there's this whole fashion of Beat, Dr. Dre headphones and Sony ones, and they cost a lot of money, They are, some of them can cost as much as £200-300. So what do you do when they go wrong? You throw them and buy a new one? You take them to a headphone repair shop? Where is a headphone repair shop? TV repair shops these days are extinct, let alone headphone repair shops. This particular customer, I have fixed a headphone for her before, so she brought this again, not the same one, but a different one. But the past, it was something a lot more easier because there was a bigger wire and a bigger connection, the 1/4 inch stereo connection, if you know it. This is a 3.5mm connection. And I used to always kind of reject them because I would look at the wiring and it's an entirely different wiring. I haven't really done my research, but I think it's some sort of maybe fiber optic wire, if I'm wrong, because it has this sort of mesh on the outside, and there is not really copper inside. So I said, you know what, I'll just, let me try. I'll see what I could do. Now, she told me that she used to like wiggle it and eventually it works, but it's just gone worse and worse until it stopped working altogether. So I took the outer layer, the protective layer, which is made from fabric, which I suppose is to help, I don't know, to maybe reduce noise cancellation or whatever. And straight away I found another layer of it. It looks like hot glue, but it isn't hot glue. It's certainly a lot more harder than hot glue. I have tried heating it up, thinking it would melt, because the connector, the 3.5mm, is hooked up to the wires, of course, but then to protect the wires from cutting, well, it did cut anyway, but supposedly it's supposed to protect it, but it isn't hot glue because it didn't melt when I used my hot air gun. So I said, well, we have to cut through it to remove this layer, to have access to the wiring and see how it's hooked up to there. I did some kind of research, see if this has been done before, and I didn't find any videos or tutorials or anything. So I was like, okay, well, I did find, but the same as I was talking before, you find a lot of tutorials on regular headphones with copper wire connection, or for example your PC headset, because I suppose that uses mic and it's a lot more old-fashioned, so it doesn't use these fiber optic, well, I call them fiber optic wires, hopefully they are, I don't know. As I said, I'm really not an expert on audio and video. And yeah, it was really difficult removing it. So I said, okay, let me start from behind that protective layer and see how it goes. And eventually I started seeing these really thin, super thin wires, very unusual. So I'm really kind of doubting myself. Should I fix this? Should I not? Should I give up? I said, you know, I like the challenge. This is the thing, it's the challenge. And also I wanted to learn a lot more about it. I'm going to show you now. That's the outer layer, the fabric layer. So that's the thing now with headphones. They are getting a lot more expensive. For example, the Beats headphones. And they are supposed to make somehow to make sound how the artist intended. But at the end of the day, you're really just getting a couple of speakers now into each ear. They are that big. And here is the, I found that the cable, so at least it has 4 wires and at least 2 of them are completely torn. And this is, I would say, bad design, you know. You're trying to put something that's really heavy, because the 3.5mm is a heavy piece. The jack is a heavy piece. And it's connected to really tiny wires. So you've got a really heavy side on the one side and really light on the other side. And then add in human effect, where it's constantly being pulled off and connected back in there. And you get, at the end of the day, you get torn wires. It's not supposed to last forever. And then I revealed this copper wiring, which is, I would say, is the I would say is the earth or ground. So I kept looking and looking at him. I'm thinking, should I still carry on or not? I said, okay, I'll still carry on. So this is the thing with these manufacturers, is they really pay a lot of attention to the sound. Okay, you're gonna put your huge speakers on each side. We're gonna make it wireless. We're gonna do whatever. We're gonna make it really comfortable. Add some soft backing. All these things, but they forgot about the main thing, which is the wire. Of course, if it's wireless, that's gonna make a lot more. It's gonna last longer because there's no wiring involved, so there's no tension involved, so there's no breakage involved. But the main point is why you would use a wired headset instead of wireless is, of course, to avoid all interference, because wireless headsets either use Bluetooth or wireless transmitters. Look at that! It looked really bad. I mean, I had no clue what's going on there. But I still wanted to remove that gluish layer, the transparent one, the white one, as you can see, just so I can have a better look at what's going on inside. The other thing I discovered is on the pin itself. This was because I also, I'm new to podcasting and all that. And I think I have an idea how you can tell between stereo, mono, and something else by looking at the pin itself, the 3.5mm. And my theory is, if it's a mono, it would only have one black circle on the pin. If it's a stereo, it would have 2 black circles on the pin. And if it has 3, like in this video, then the third one could either be for microphone, or it could be for bass. And these are bass headphones. They have a bass in them, or amplifier, or whatever. And that's why it has 3. Because I wanted to replace this. And I looked at my headsets. I had some spare headsets. And I wanted to replace the pin. Now, I said, okay, hang on. It's 3.5 millimeter, but that one had only 2 of them. And this one had 3 circles. Of course, my headset, it doesn't have microphones, so then I said, okay, let me look at any earphones, headsets, whatever, that have 3 circles, and I found my PC headsets, which had a microphone, had 3, but then it was a microphone, so the third one must be for mic, and this one isn't mic, it's just a headphone with with a bass, so that wouldn't work either. And this is, if you look at the video, I ended up completely, I torn the wiring from the connection, from the 3.5 millimeter jack. And this is when you look at the wire, at the end of each wire, there's this fabric coming out, which reminds me of fiber optic internet cables, where they're not supposed to transmit. They use light, so they transmit light. And then I'm looking at the pin itself, and luckily a bit from the wire stayed on the connector, so that helped me somehow figure out which wire goes into where. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, okay, cool, well, at least I know where the red is going, where the blue is going. And then the copper must be earth, so that's going on the earth one. In total, it was 4 wires. We got a red one, a blue one, a green one, a copper one, so 4 wires instead. So I said, okay, let me cut more of that to reveal a new layer of wires. Maybe the new layer of wires would have copper in the middle of each one, because that's what you would need, right? You would need to see the copper to solder it into the pin. But these wires didn't, 3 of these wires did not have copper inside. Only the earth was entirely copper. So here's another problem. Now, doing a bit more research, I found out that most headphones use the same color scheme for connections, where you would have the main one, which goes at the back of the jack, and the blue one would be so main one would be either the right, and then the other one would be left, so right and left. So this is a stereo headphones. And then the third one would be ground, which is a whole copper wire, ground or neutral. And we're left with one, and that one turned out to be the bass. But that's only optional. If the headphone itself does not have bass, that doesn't go anywhere. Of course, the best thing would have been to replace to put a new jack. But this customer was leaving on the day, and I could not go to Maplin's and get a replacement jack. Maplin's did have them, actually. They did have the same replacement, and they did have the 3 black circles on the jack, so it told me it would work with it. And it was only very cheap. It was like 2 or 3 quids. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the camera and actually working in the field of view, because at this point I was thinking that this video would be a waste. It's not actually going to go on YouTube, because I kind of gave up, so I didn't pay that much attention to the camera anymore. Anyway, so back to headphone repairs. If you're out of warranty, what do you do? I wonder. Who's there to fix them? And that's a shame, isn't it? You pay that much money for decent speakers, but the connection goes wrong. And it's not your fault. I mean, it's not like you're connecting it to the with your feet. So it's simple. It's plug in, plug out, plug in. But just the fact that even if you're the most careful person on earth plugging it in and out, it's eventually gonna loosen, isn't it? Because it's tension. It's in, out, in, out, in, out. So I wonder what can be done to really make a very secure jack to wire connection. If you're on YouTube, maybe you could put me some comments, suggestions. Because the headset design is all great. It looks awesome. It performs very good. But that leaves us with the jack. What kind of quality jack we need? Should we still use these tiny wires soldered to this big piece of metal and secured by hot glue? I'm sure it's not a common thing. I know it's not a super common thing, but this is the second time in the second headphone set, like premium quality, of course. This isn't your average $10 headphone. This must have costed a lot. I've actually had the very latest Beat headphones come into the shop for repair, but I kind of sent those back, and now I regret it. After I did this, I said, oh man, I regret it, because the other guy came in, he snapped the cable, but the cable wasn't snapped at the jack, it was snapped right in the middle. I think he had an argument with his girlfriend, and then she got the scissors, and because he was listening to the music all the time and not paying attention to her, and then she came and from anger just cut the wire in half. Listen to me. Listen to me. You don't listen to me anymore. Just listen to your music. So she cut it. And now we got a problem. It won't work. So he brought it to me, and then I said, okay, well, have a look. And as soon as I see those really tiny wires, I'm like, no way. I mean, I don't even see copper in them. But it turns out that those wires are solderable. You can solder them. And I have no clue how can fabric be soldered into metal. That I still don't understand. So what I've done is I burned the very top layer of each wire, and then it became solid, very solid. Strange, isn't it? And then I said, I absolutely have no idea that this is gonna solder, and eventually it did. I mean, there it is on the video. These are fabric wires, and they are being soldered into the connection. But I was sure that this is not gonna work, of course. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's fabric, it's not copper, is it? And here's a very close-up look at the job after it's been done, and I'm gonna plug
God damn it, I was
to my phone and just test it. I'm like, no way in hell, this is not gonna work.
I honestly did not think that that's gonna work. Honestly, this I was gonna, and it's working. Listen, cool. That is really cool. Wow! I feel it. Damn! I've never, not in a million years. I thought I'm wasting my time.
So there you go. Surprisingly, it works. Now, here's the other problem I have: is how can we make this secure enough so it won't snap again? So I added a protective layer of hot glue, like they had before. And then I've added insulation tape on top of that. I don't know what I could have done to make it look really nice. Of course, I wouldn't be able to add that fabric layer that it originally has, because that's somehow done with lots of threads and machines, and I don't have that. And I'm not good at sewing either. And this was just like the customer just said, you know, as long as she was flying back to Australia, wrong flight, and these are her only last pair of headphones, and she said, you know, as long as it works, just so I can listen to some music during the 19-hour flight back to Australia. So I'm adding the insulation tape, but then it looked ugly. But then I remembered, oh man, insulation tape, I can burn that, can't I? And the next thing I done is using my hot air gun and heat the hell out of that insulation tape so it kind of molds over the entire thing. Now remember, there is already enough amount of hot glue, but with heating up the insulation tape, it molds, doesn't it? It molds with the entire thing. Of course, it's not gonna look nice, but I'm pretty confident that it's a lot more secure than how it originally was in the first place. And then I still added one more layer of insulation tape, and then I added one more final layer of insulation tape with a different colored one. This was a black boring one, so I added, later you're gonna see I added something that's green and yellow, just so for the look, you know. And each time I add something, so when I put the hot glue, I tested it and it still works. Then I put the insulation tape and then tested it and still works. And then I put second layer of insulation tape, then test it, then still works. So yeah, so I hope this video is going to help you out. And if you're looking to fix your headphones, you're going to need a soldering iron, of course, some insulation tape, some hot glue, and some luck. There you go. Look at that. It looks great. Door is knocking, so I'm gonna leave you guys, and I will come back to you later. So let me know what you think. I know this isn't a pretty repair, it isn't the best repair, but it's a repair. And it's a lot more solid than it was before. And at the end of the day, we don't get to chuck it in the bin and buy new ones. And I hope this helps you. If you got any questions, you could put down below any comments or anything. So yeah, this is all it, and I don't know what else to say, but you know, take care of your headphones. If you got one of those expensive ones, what I would do is, if they're constantly connected to something, let's say they're always on your iPhone or your iPod, try and get the tension off. So what you would do is you would you put a piece of sellotape about 1 inch away from the connection, and then the piece of sellotape glues the wire onto the back of the iPhone or whatever device you have, your MP3 and etc. Or you could, instead of sellotape, maybe just a wire and just something so it relieves the tension from the headphone area. So when your headphone, for example, your iPhone falls, it's not gonna, the cable is gonna secure it. It's not gonna go on the ground. It's not gonna fall on the ground because there is sellotape on the other end, if you know what I mean, that is securing. So it relieves the tension of the jack, and also in case your device falls, it's not gonna take the headphone with it, and it's not gonna fall on the ground. Maybe that's just an idea if your headphones are that valuable. Now here is how the final outcome is gonna be of my headphones. With the this is more like a decor layer of insulation tape, not really for, just so it looks a bit more trendy, because black, everybody knows black insulation, and they know that maybe there's been repair to it. like a more candy looking connection. What I've got next after this is just a quick video of fixing DVD drive problems on laptops, mechanical ones, when they're stuck or they don't release quick enough, or maybe they just they don't slide in properly, or are stuck halfway. And I'm gonna test it one more time, one final time, just be sure that it goes in and out. And I still heated this. I didn't film it in the end, but I heated the final insulation tape, the decor one, just so it molds all around and it looks a lot better. And I'm listening to it also while wiggling the laptop the phone connection, and there was no interruption. It worked absolutely fine throughout. And here's the thumbs up for it's done. If you see all my other videos, I've been fixing laptops and computers and motherboards, and you can take a look and subscribe, and each time there's a video you'll know. I would also like some questions and we can answer them for you. So here's a typical example of a stuck DVD drive or DVD bay. This is a Sony laptop, and you wouldn't come out unless you really push really hard. So a simple fix to do that would either be to replace it. They are replaceable, and however, a wide variety of laptops do always want the same exact one. Especially Toshiba laptops, they really want the same DVD drive, no matter, even though you take it from another Toshiba drive, it has to be the same firmware version or the same design. In this instance, I didn't want to replace the DVD drive. I just added some WD-40 to the underneath, to the sliding mechanism, and it instantly, almost instantly, just came smooth and nice. And here's a little bit, I've spilled a little on the screen. No worries, it's not the end of the world. Actually, on screens I use Mr. Muscle's glass cleaner. If you wanna clean your LCD screens, because the outer layer is just glass. It's nothing particular. There's no electronics in there, unless it's a touchscreen laptop. Then it's a different story. You want when I use a special laptop screen cleaners. But Mr. Muscle or any sort of any all-around chemical would do. So thanks for watching the video, and if you want to subscribe and leave a comments and thumbs up, it'd be really helpful. Thank you. Bye bye. This is the Reballer, and I'm out.